The stars burned with the light of war. For 300 years, the galaxy had known nothing but conflict. Ships exploded in the dark void between planets. Entire worlds turned to ash. Billions died while two great powers fought for control of everything. The Zephyrian Empire ruled from crystal cities that floated in space. Their ships looked like giant diamonds, beautiful and deadly. Energy weapons shot from them like lightning, turning enemy vessels into glowing dust. The Zephyrians believed they were perfect beings made of living crystal and pure energy. They thought all other life forms were weak and needed their guidance. On the other side, the Korthan Federation controlled worlds covered in strange plants and breathing buildings. Their ships were alive, growing like massive trees in space. These bioships could heal themselves and change shape during battle. The Korthans were part machine, part plant, part animal. They wanted to absorb all life in the galaxy into their collective mind. Between these two giants, smaller species suffered. The Altarians flew their trade ships carefully, trying to avoid both sides. The Nexari hid in asteroid fields, hoping the war would pass them by. The Vulcan people had already lost their homeworld and lived on refugee ships moving from place to place. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the command deck of the Earth ship Valiant. Through the large windows, he could see the blue marble of Earth, spinning slowly below them. It looked so peaceful from up here. No one on the planet's surface could imagine the hell that raged among the stars. "Sir, we have another transmission from the outer monitoring stations," said Lieutenant Kate Williams. She was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and sharp green eyes. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. Jake walked over to her station. "What are they saying this time?" Kate's face was grim. "The Zephyrians just destroyed the Altarian colony on Kepler 442b. 17 million people, sir. Gone in minutes." Jake felt his jaw tighten. For 50 years, Earth had been watching this war from the shadows. They had learned the alien languages, studied their technology, and built their own ships in secret. The people of Earth knew that. One day they would have to choose a side or face destruction themselves. Captain Ben Taylor approached from the tactical station. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Ben had been with the Earth Defense Force since the beginning, back when they only had chemical rockets and dreams of reaching the stars. "Admiral, the Council is meeting again tomorrow," Ben said quietly. "They want to know when we're going to make contact." Jake nodded slowly. The Earth Council had been arguing for months. Some wanted to join the Zephyrians, thinking their advanced technology could protect Earth. Others believed the Korthans offered a better chance of survival through unity. A few brave souls suggested that Earth should stay hidden and neutral. But Jake knew better. He had studied every battle, every strategy, every victory and defeat in this 300-year war. Neither side would allow Earth to remain neutral forever. The galaxy was too small for that. "Sir, incoming message from the Deep Space Array," called out Ensign Danny Roberts from the communications section. Danny was barely out of the academy, still excited about being on humanity's most advanced warship. The main screen flickered to life. The face of Commander Lisa Parker appeared, speaking from the research station at the edge of the solar system. Lisa was brilliant, probably the smartest person in the Earth Defense Force. She had been the one to crack the alien communication codes and translate their languages. "Admiral Morrison, we have a situation," Lisa said, her voice tense. "We're detecting an Altarian distress signal. One of their colony ships is under attack by both Zephyrian and Korthan forces. They're caught in the middle, sir." Jake felt his heart sink. The Altarians were good people, peaceful traders who had never hurt anyone. They were exactly the kind of species that suffered most in this endless war. "How far out are they?" Jake asked. 47 light hours from our position," Lisa replied. "We could reach them in 6 hours if we use the new quantum drive system." Ben stepped forward. "Admiral, if we go out there, we'll be seen. Both sides will know about Earth. There's no going back after that." Jake stared at the screen showing the Altarian ship. It was small and fragile, carrying families who just wanted to find a new home. Around it, massive warships from both empires circled like sharks, using the colony ship as bait to draw each other into battle. Sir, I'm also detecting something else, Lisa continued. Long-range sensors show a massive fleet buildup in both Zephyrian and Corthan space. This isn't just another border skirmish. They're preparing for something big. Kate looked up from her station. Admiral, if I may, we've been hiding for 50 years while people die. When does it end? Jake looked around the command deck. These were good people, brave people who had volunteered to serve on humanity's first real starship. They knew the risks. They knew that Earth was gambling everything on technology that had never been tested in real combat. The Earth Defense Force had been built in secret. Hidden shipyards on the dark side of the moon constructed vessels using ideas borrowed from both alien empires, but improved with human engineering. The ships were smaller than the alien vessels, but much faster. Their weapons were different too, using solid projectiles fired at incredible speeds instead of energy beams or living weapons. General Davis, are you monitoring this transmission? Jake asked. Another section of the screen lit up, showing General Sharon Davis from the command center in Colorado. Sharon was tough as nails, a career military officer who had helped design Earth's defense strategy. I'm here, Admiral, Sharon said. The President is with me. We've been discussing the situation. President Nancy Roberts stepped into view. She looked tired but determined. Leading Earth during these dangerous times had aged her quickly. Admiral Morrison, the President said, the decision is yours. You're out there. You can see what's happening. But remember, whatever choice you make affects everyone on Earth. Jake closed his eyes for a moment. In his mind, he could see the faces of his wife and children back on Earth. He thought about the billions of people who trusted him to keep them safe. He also thought about the Altarian families on that colony ship, waiting to die while two empires used them as pawns. Kate, open a channel to all Earth defense ships, Jake ordered. Channel open, sir. Jake straightened his uniform and looked directly into the camera. Across the solar system, on dozens of hidden ships, human crews waited for his words. This is Admiral Morrison to all Earth defense vessels. For 50 years we have prepared for this moment. We have watched from the shadows while the galaxy burned. We have built our ships, trained our crews, and studied our enemies. Today, that preparation ends. He paused, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. We cannot save the galaxy by hiding from it. Today we rescue those Altarians. Today, humanity steps into the light. All ships, prepare for combat operations. This is not just a rescue mission. This is the day Earth announces itself to the galaxy. On screens throughout the solar system, human faces nodded with grim determination. The secret was about to end. The war that had raged for 3 centuries was about to change forever. Jake turned to Ben. Signal the fleet. All ships, jump to quantum drive. Set course for the Altarian colony ship. As the Valiant prepared to leap across space, Jake wondered if he had just saved humanity or doomed it. In a few hours, they would know the answer. The rescue happened faster than anyone expected. Human ships dropped out of quantum space around the Altarian colony vessel like ghosts appearing from nowhere. The Zephyrian and Corthan forces were so busy fighting each other that they barely noticed the newcomers until it was too late. Captain Alex Hughes commanded the destroyer Ranger, one of the fastest ships in the human fleet. His vessel moved between the alien warships like a fish swimming through coral, too quick for their weapons to track. The Altarian colony ship was damaged, but still alive, its hull cracked but holding together. This is Captain Hughes of the Earth, Vessel Ranger, Alex transmitted to the Altarian ship. We are here to help you. Prepare for emergency docking. The response came back in broken English, mixed with the musical language of the Altarians. Earth ship? We do not know of Earth, but we thank you, strangers. Our children are frightened. Lieutenant Sam Carter, Alex's tactical officer, watched the sensor screens with growing concern. Captain, the Zephyrian and Corthan ships have stopped fighting each other. They're all turning toward us. Alex nodded grimly. They want to know who we are and how we got here so fast. Signal Admiral Morrison. Tell him we have the civilians, but we're about to have company. Across the battle zone, Admiral Jake Morrison received the message aboard the Valiant. The rescue was complete, but now came the harder part. Both alien empires were demanding answers, and their massive fleets were moving to surround the small human force. Sir, we're receiving transmission requests from both the Zephyrian command ship and the Corthan Hive vessel, reported Lieutenant Kate Williams. They want to talk. Put them both on screen, Jake ordered. Let's see what they have to say. The main display split into two sections. On the left appeared High Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. He looked like a man made of living crystal, his body glowing with inner light. His face was beautiful but cold, like a statue carved from diamond. On the right side, the image showed Hive Speaker Gorth of the Corthan Federation. The creature was harder to look at, a writhing mass of tentacles and mechanical parts that seemed to shift and change even as they watched. Unknown vessels, Veltar spoke first. His voice like music played on crystal bells. You have interfered in a military operation. Identify yourselves immediately. Gorth's voice came as a chorus of different tones, as if many creatures were speaking at once. New species. Detected. Integration protocols required. Submit to examination or face consequences. Jake stood straight, looking at both alien commanders. I am Admiral Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We represent the planet Earth and the human species. We came here to rescue innocent civilians caught in your conflict. Both aliens looked surprised, though it was hard to tell with their strange faces. Veltar's crystal form flickered brighter for a moment. Earth? Human? These terms are unknown to our databases. How did you develop space travel without our knowledge? Impossible, Gorth added, his tentacles writhing faster. All spacefaring species are catalogued. Submit to integration for proper classification. Jake had prepared for this moment. We have been developing our technology in isolation. We have no interest in your war, but we will not allow innocent people to die while you fight. Veltar's expression became colder. You speak of innocence, but you possess advanced technology. Your ships moved faster than our sensors could track. Such capabilities are dangerous in the hands of an unknown species. You will join the Federation, Gorth declared. Individual species cannot survive alone. Unity is strength. Resistance is futile. Jake felt his anger rising. These aliens had been killing each other for 3 centuries, and now they wanted to drag humanity into their mess. We choose neither of your empires. Humanity will remain independent. The communications cut off abruptly. Both alien fleets began, moving closer to the human ships, their weapons powering up. Jake realized they had minutes before the shooting started again. Sir, incoming message from Earth Command, Kate reported. The screen changed to show Commander Lisa Parker, now speaking from the diplomatic vessel Horizon. Lisa had been chosen to lead the first contact team because of her knowledge of alien languages and cultures. Admiral, I'm receiving requests for a formal meeting, Lisa said. Both sides want to talk before they start shooting. The Galactic Council is calling an emergency session. Jake was surprised. The Galactic Council? I thought that was just a legend. So did I, Lisa replied. But apparently it's real, just dormant for the last 100 years because of the war. Both empires have agreed to attend if we do. Captain Ben Taylor moved closer to Jake. Admiral, this could be a trap. They might be planning to capture our delegation. Jake considered the options. They could fight their way out, but that would mean war with both empires. They could try to run, but that would only delay the inevitable. Or they could talk and try to find a peaceful solution. Lisa, what's your assessment? Jake asked. Lisa's face was thoughtful. Sir, I've been studying their cultures for decades. Both species respect strength, but they also follow certain protocols. If they're calling for a council meeting, they're bound by ancient laws to honor safe passage. And if you're wrong, then we'll probably all die, Lisa said with a slight smile. But at least we'll die trying to avoid a war that could destroy Earth. Jake made his decision. Very well. Signal both fleets that we accept the council meeting, but we go in armed and ready. Several hours later, the council meeting took place aboard Harmony Station, an ancient space platform that had been neutral ground for thousands of years. The station was beautiful, with crystal walls and flowing water features. But Jake could feel the tension in the air. Commander Lisa Parker led the human delegation into the main chamber. General Sharon Davis was with her, along with Captain Alex Hughes and several other officers. They wore their dress uniforms but carried sidearms, a reminder that they were ready for trouble. The chamber was huge, with seats arranged in a circle around a central platform. Hundreds of different alien species were represented, though most of them looked scared or confused. The Zephyrians sat on one side, their crystal forms glowing softly. The Korthans occupied the opposite side, their biomechanical bodies making quiet mechanical sounds. High Commander Veltar stood first. Honored Council members, we face an unprecedented situation. A new species has appeared with advanced technology and unknown intentions. The Zephyrian Empire demands that these humans submit to proper authority. Hive Speaker Gorth rose next, his tentacles waving in agitation. The Federation concurs. Unknown species represent a threat to galactic stability. Integration is required for the safety of all. Lisa stepped forward onto the central platform. She had studied alien diplomatic protocols and knew exactly how to address the council. Honored beings, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Humanity comes before you not as conquerors or supplicants, but as equals. We have watched your war for decades, learning from your mistakes and developing our own path. Murmurs went through the chamber. Many of the smaller species looked hopeful for the first time in years. You speak of authority and integration, Lisa continued, but what has 3 centuries of war brought you? Destruction, suffering, and the extinction of dozens of species. Perhaps it is time to try a different approach. Veltar's crystal form flared brighter. You dare lecture us, primitive. Your species is unknown to history. What achievements can you claim? Lisa smiled. We achieved something you have not, Commander. We learned to end conflicts instead of prolonging them. We developed technology. Through cooperation, not conquest. Gorth's voice became a harsh buzz. Cooperation is weakness. Only through unity under the Federation can species survive. And yet, General Davis said, stepping forward, neither of your empires has been able to defeat the other in 3 centuries. Perhaps the problem is not with individual species, but with the idea that one power must dominate all others. The chamber fell silent. This was a new idea, something that challenged the basic assumptions both empires had lived by for generations. Captain Alex Hughes spoke next. We propose a different path. Instead of choosing sides in your war, we offer to help end it. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to prosper without fighting. Veltar and Gorth exchanged glances. Both alien leaders looked angry and confused. The idea of ending the war instead of winning it was completely foreign to them. Impossible, Veltar declared. The war defines us. It gives meaning to our existence. The war is evolution, Gorth added. Through conflict, the strong survive, and the weak are absorbed. Lisa looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. Some looked hopeful, others fearful, and a few seemed angry. But all of them were listening. Then let us propose a test, she said. Give us 1 year to prove that cooperation works better than conquest. If we fail, humanity will submit to whatever authority you choose, but if we succeed, perhaps it will be time for the galaxy to try a new path. The chamber erupted in discussion. Aliens spoke in dozens of languages, their voices creating a chaos of sound. But gradually, order returned. Veltar and Gorth conferred with their advisors for long minutes. Finally, both leaders turned back to the human delegation. 1 year is nothing, Veltar said, but perhaps it will be enough time to demonstrate your weakness. The year passed like a dream that slowly turned into a nightmare. At first, humanity's efforts seemed to work. Commander Lisa Parker led diplomatic missions to dozens of worlds, helping smaller species negotiate trade agreements instead of fighting over resources. The Alterian colonies began to prosper under Earth's protection. Even some border disputes between the Zephyrians and Korthans were settled through human mediation. But the peace was fragile, like a soap bubble floating in a storm. High Commander Veltar stood in his crystal command chamber aboard the massive Zephyrian flagship Eternal Light. The ship was beautiful and terrible, carved from a single enormous crystal that had grown in the heart of a dying star. Through its transparent walls, he could see the vast fleet assembling around him. "Report on human activities," Veltar commanded his subordinates. Subcommander Kiravel stepped forward, her crystal form flickering with nervous energy. "The humans have established diplomatic relations with 47 minor species. Trade routes that were closed for decades are now open. Several border worlds have declared neutrality under human protection." Veltar's glow turned darker, like a storm cloud blocking the sun. "They are stealing our rightful subjects. These lesser species belong under Zephyrian guidance." On the other side of the galaxy, Hive Speaker Gorth pulsed with similar anger aboard the Korthan bioship Living Victory. The vessel was alive, its walls breathing slowly, its corridors pulsing like blood vessels. Smaller creatures scurried through hidden passages, maintaining the ship's organic systems. "Human interference grows stronger," reported Subspeaker Thren, a creature that looked like a walking tree with too many eyes. "They prevent integration of 17 species that should join the Federation. Their influence spreads like a disease." Gorth's tentacles writhed faster. "Disease must be cured. The human experiment has failed. They do not bring unity, only chaos." Both Empire leaders had reached the same conclusion independently. Humanity's year of peace was actually weakening both empires. The smaller species that had been caught between the two powers for centuries were beginning to think they had other choices. Some were even talking about forming their own alliances, free from both Zephyrian and Korthan control. This was unacceptable. Admiral Jake Morrison received the news while standing in the observation deck of the Valiant, now orbiting the peaceful world of New Geneva. The planet had been a war zone just 6 months ago, fought over by both empires because of its rare mineral deposits. Now it was neutral territory, with humans helping both sides mine the resources they needed without fighting. "Sir, we're receiving priority transmissions from both empire capitals," Lieutenant Kate Williams reported. Her voice carried a note of worry that made Jake's stomach tighten. "Put them through," Jake ordered. The screen split to show both Hyde-Yo, Commander Veltar, and Hive Speaker Gorth. Jake had hoped never to see those faces again, but he knew this day would come. "Admiral Morrison," Veltar spoke first, his crystal voice cold as space. "The year of human interference is ended. Your experiment has failed." Gorth's chorus of voices added their own condemnation. "Chaos spreads where order should reign. The Federation and Empire have reached agreement. Human influence must end." Jake felt his blood turn cold. "Agreement? You two have been enemies for 3 centuries. "Not enemies," Veltar corrected. "Competitors. We competed to see who would rule the galaxy. But now there is a greater threat. A species that teaches others to reject proper authority." Gorth's mechanical parts whirred louder. "Unity achieved through common purpose. Humanity must be eliminated before the disease spreads further." The transmission ended, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. For the first time in 300 years, the Zephyrian Empire and Korthan Federation had formed an alliance, and humanity was their target. President Nancy Roberts called an emergency session of the Earth Council. The meeting took place in the deep bunkers beneath Colorado, the same chambers that had been built during the old nuclear wars. The irony was not lost on anyone present. "How many ships are they bringing?" President Roberts asked General Sharon. Sharon's face was grim as she consulted her reports. "Long-range sensors detect massive fleet movements from both empires. Conservative estimate is 8,000 ships. More realistic number is probably 10,000 or more." Captain Ben Taylor, now promoted to Admiral after Jake Morrison, whistled softly. "That's 50 times larger than our entire fleet." "Numbers aren't everything," General Davis replied, but her voice lacked conviction. "Our ships are faster, more maneuverable. Our weapons are designed specifically to counter their defenses." President Roberts looked around the table at Earth's military leaders. "What are our chances?" The room fell silent. Everyone knew the answer, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Finally, Admiral Morrison spoke. He had returned to Earth for the emergency meeting, leaving Captain Alex Hughes in command of the outer system defenses. "Madam President, in a straight fight we lose, but we're not planning a straight fight. Dr. Rachel Stone, Earth's chief scientist, activated a holographic display showing the solar system. We've had a year to prepare. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris has been weaponized. The outer planets are ringed with automated defense platforms. Mars has been turned into a fortress. But will it be enough? The president asked. Jake looked at the faces around the table. These were good people, brave people who had worked tirelessly to build humanity's defenses. They deserved an honest answer. Probably not, he admitted. But we're going to make them pay for every inch of space. And maybe, just maybe, we can show the galaxy that there's a better way to fight. Light years away, the combined Zephyrian-Corthan fleet prepared to jump into hyperspace. High Commander Veltar and Hive Speaker Gorth met aboard the Neutral Command, Ship Judgment, a hastily constructed vessel that combined technologies from both empires. The ship was ugly, a patchwork of crystal and biomechanical parts that didn't quite fit together. But it was powerful, armed with the best weapons both sides could provide. The human homeworld will fall within hours, Veltar declared, studying the tactical displays. Their primitive vessels cannot stand against our combined might. Gorth pulsed with satisfaction. Integration of surviving humans will begin immediately. Their technological innovations will serve the greater good. Neither alien leader seemed concerned about the approaching battle. They had studied human capabilities for a year and found them impressive but limited. Earth's fleet was tiny, their planets lightly defended. The war would be over before it truly began. But they had made one crucial mistake. They assumed that humans would fight the same kind of war that had raged in the galaxy for 3 centuries. They expected massive ships trading fire at long range, with victory going to whoever had the most firepower. They were about to learn that humans had spent 50 years studying their tactics and developing something completely different. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Kelly stood on the bridge of the heavy cruiser Justice, humanity's most powerful warship. Around him, the crew made final preparations for battle. The ship's railguns were loaded with solid projectiles that could punch through any known armor. The plasma torpedoes were armed and ready. Most importantly, the new stealth systems were online. All stations report ready for combat, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Sarah Beck. Ryan nodded and opened a channel to the rest of the human fleet. 200 ships hung in space around Earth, looking tiny compared to the approaching alien armada, but appearances could be deceiving. "This is Commander Kelly to all Earth defense vessels," he announced. "Today we face the combined might of 2 empires that have terrorized the galaxy for 3 centuries. They think we're weak because we're small. They think we'll fight like they do, standing in formation and trading shots until one side breaks." He paused, looking at the tactical display showing the massive alien fleet dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. They're about to learn why humanity survived when dinosaurs didn't. We adapt. We overcome. We find a way to win when everyone else says it's impossible. Today, we show the galaxy what humans can do when someone threatens our home. The alien fleet had arrived. 10,000 ships in perfect formation, a wall of crystal and biometal stretching across space. They moved slowly toward Earth with the confidence of predators approaching helpless prey. High Commander Veltar transmitted a message on all frequencies. "People of Earth, you have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. After that, your world will be cleansed of all resistance. Choose wisely." Admiral Morrison's response was broadcast from Earth to every ship in both fleets. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We have a message for the combined armadas threatening our world. You want to see what humans learned from 3 centuries of watching your war? You're about to find out." The countdown began. 1 hour until the largest space battle in galactic history would begin. But it wouldn't be the kind of battle either Empire expected. In hidden bases throughout the solar system, human crews made final preparations for Operation Thunderstrike. The plan was insane, desperate, and completely unlike anything attempted before in galactic warfare. It was perfectly human. The hour passed like minutes. When it ended, the galaxy would never be the same. The attack began at exactly 0800 hours, Earth Standard Time. High Commander Veltar gave the order from his crystal flagship, and 10,000 alien ships moved forward like a slow avalanche of death. Their formation was perfect, disciplined, exactly what military academies across the galaxy taught as proper fleet tactics. It was also exactly what humanity had been planning to face. "Contact in 30 seconds, reported Lieutenant Sarah Beck from the tactical station aboard the Justice. "All enemy ships maintaining standard formation. No deviation from expected patterns." Commander Ryan Kelly smiled grimly. The aliens were fighting the last war, not this one. "Signal all ships. Execute Operation Thunderstrike. Show them what we learned." The first hour began with what looked like a massacre. The human fleet was spread thin across the solar system, individual ships, facing impossible odds. The alien commanders watched their sensors with satisfaction as their overwhelming firepower began to tear apart the small Earth vessels. But something was wrong. The human ships weren't dying fast enough. Captain Pete Adams commanded Squadron 7, 12 destroyers that danced between the massive alien warships like gnats around elephants. His ships moved in ways that defied everything the aliens knew about space combat. "Target their power cores, not their weapons," Pete ordered his squadron. "Remember, we don't need to destroy them, just disable them." The human railguns fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. These weren't energy weapons that could be deflected by shields. They were chunks of metal moving so fast they punched through any armor like paper through tissue. The Zephyrian crystal ships, designed to absorb energy attacks, cracked and shattered when hit by kinetic weapons. High Commander Veltar watched in growing alarm as his forward ships began going dark. "How are they penetrating our defenses?" he demanded. "Their weapons are primitive projectiles," reported Subcommander Kiravel. "Our shields are designed for energy attacks. These solid objects pass right through." The second hour brought new horrors for the alien fleet. The Corthan bioships began adapting to human weapons, their living hulls growing thicker armor where they were hit. But Captain Donna Clark aboard the science vessel Newton had prepared for exactly this response. "Deploy the viral torpedoes," she ordered her crew. "Let's see how fast they can adapt to our biology." The torpedoes looked harmless, small and slow compared to the massive alien vessels. But when they struck the Corthan ships, they released clouds of engineered viruses that attacked the ship's biological systems. The living vessels began to sicken and die, their hulls developing lesions, their weapon systems failing as infection spread. Hive Speaker Gorth felt his own ship shudder as the virus took hold. "Impossible. How do they know our biological weaknesses?" "We have been studying you for 50 years, came the reply on an open channel from Admiral Morrison. "We know exactly how your ships work, and we know how to kill them." The third hour saw the alien commanders trying desperately to adapt their tactics. They broke formation and began hunting human ships individually, but this played right into humanity's hands. Colonel Frank Moore led the assault ship Hammer and 5 other vessels in a daring raid against a Zephyrian command cruiser. The alien ship was massive, the size of a small city, but it was designed for long-range combat. "Boarding pods away," Frank announced as his ships got close enough to dock with the enemy vessel. "Let's see how they handle close-quarters fighting." Human Marines poured into the crystal corridors of the alien ship. The Zephyrians were magnificent beings, masters of energy manipulation and advanced technology. But they had never faced humans in hand-to-hand combat. The aliens moved like dancers, graceful and precise. But the humans moved like wolves, fast and savage and utterly unpredictable. Within minutes, the boarding parties had captured the ship's command center. "These beings are adapted for the war they've been fighting," Frank reported to Admiral Morrison. "Elegant, sophisticated, but not ready for up-close and dirty fighting." The fourth hour brought chaos to the alien fleet. Without proper coordination, the massive armada began to fall apart. Human ships targeted communication nodes and command vessels specifically, cutting off orders between ships. Captain Helen Wright commanded the stealth frigate Ghost, one of humanity's most advanced vessels. Her ship was invisible to alien sensors, able to move through their fleet like a phantom. Targeting the command ship Judgment, Helen reported as she positioned her vessel behind the ugly hybrid ship, where both alien leaders coordinated their attack, preparing to disable their communications array. The Ghost fired a spread of kinetic torpedoes directly into the command ship's communication center. The explosion left both Veltar and Gorth blind and deaf, unable to coordinate their massive fleet. Without central command, the alien ships began acting independently. Some tried to retreat, others pressed forward, and many simply held position waiting for orders that never came. The perfect formation dissolved into chaos. Lieutenant Commander Danny Roberts led a squadron of fast attack craft against a group of confused Corthan vessels. The bioships were trying to regroup, but without communication they couldn't coordinate their efforts. "Hit and run tactics," Danny ordered. "Keep moving, never let them get a target lock." His ships darted in and out of the enemy formation like hummingbirds, striking with precision and vanishing before the heavy alien weapons could respond. One by one, the bioships went dark, their systems failing under the constant harassment. The fifth hour began with a sight that no one in the galaxy had ever witnessed before. The combined fleet of two mighty empires, masters of space warfare for 3 centuries, was in full retreat. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the Valiant, watching as thousands of alien ships tried to escape the solar system. Of the 10,000 vessels that had attacked Earth, fewer than 3,000 were still capable of movement. "Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from multiple enemy squadrons," reported Lieutenant Kate Williams. "They're requesting terms." Jake felt no satisfaction in the victory. Too many good people had died on both sides. But perhaps now the galaxy could finally learn a better way. "Open a channel to all ships, both human and alien," Jake ordered. His image appeared on screens throughout the solar system, carried by communication relays to every vessel in the scattered fleet. "Warriors of the Zephyrian Empire and Corthan Federation," he began. "This battle is over. But the war that has raged for 3 centuries can end today, if we choose to end it." On the command ship Judgment, High Commander Veltar and Hive Speaker, Gorth listened to the human admiral's words. Both alien leaders were wounded, their pride shattered along with their fleets. "You have fought with honor," Jake continued, "but you have also fought without purpose. For 300 years you have destroyed each other over the right to rule the galaxy. What has it gained you? What has it gained anyone?" Veltar's crystal form flickered weakly. Never in his long life had he imagined that his perfect fleet could be defeated by such a small force. The humans had used tactics that were primitive, barbaric, and completely effective. "We offer you a choice," Jake said. "You can continue this war, rebuild your fleets, and attack again. We will be ready for you. Or you can join us in building something better. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to prosper." Gorth's tentacles moved slowly, still processing what had happened. The Federation's bioships were designed to adapt to any threat, but they couldn't adapt fast enough to human creativity and speed. "The terms are simple," Jake continued. "No more conquest, no more forced integration, no more wars over who gets to rule. Instead, we work together to explore the galaxy, to discover new worlds, to build something worth fighting for instead of fighting over what already exists." One by one, alien ships began signaling their surrender. Not just military defeat, but acceptance of the human proposal. The war that had defined galactic civilization for 3 centuries was ending, not with the exhaustion of both sides, but with the victory of a third option that no one had considered before. Captain Alex Hughes, now commanding the outer system. Defense received reports from across the solar system. "Admiral, it's over. The last alien squadrons are standing down. They're accepting our terms." Jake nodded slowly. "Signal Earth Command. Tell them the 5-hour war is finished. Now the real work begins." As rescue ships moved out to help damaged vessels from all 3 fleets, the galaxy began to change. The species that had ended a 300-year war in 5 hours was about to show the stars what could be accomplished when different civilizations worked together instead of fighting. The age of conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun. 6 months after the 5-hour war, the galaxy looked like a completely different place. The ancient space station called Harmony had been rebuilt and expanded to serve as the new center of galactic government. Ships from dozens of species docked at its ports every day, carrying diplomats and traders instead of weapons and soldiers. Ambassador Claire Thompson walked through the station's main corridor, marveling at the changes. Zephyrian crystal beings worked alongside Corthan bioengineers to repair damage from the old war. Alterian merchants sold goods to former enemies. Children from a dozen different species played together in the station's parks. Hard to believe. It's real sometimes, said Captain Greg Sullivan, walking beside her. Greg commanded the exploration vessel Unity, the galaxy's first truly mixed-species cruise ship. Half his officers were human. The other half came from various alien races. Claire nodded, watching a group of young Zephyrians learning English from a human teacher. President Roberts was right when she said the hardest part would come after the fighting stopped. The Treaty of Sol had been signed 3 months ago in a ceremony that brought tears to eyes across the galaxy. But signing papers was easy compared to the daily work of building trust between species that had been enemies for centuries. High Commander Veltar, now calling himself simply Commander Veltar, approached them with his usual graceful stride. The proud Zephyrian leader had changed, much since the defeat of his fleet. His crystal form still glowed, but the cold arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like humility. Ambassador Thompson, Veltar said with a slight bow. The Zephyrian Council has approved the mining rights agreement for the Kepler system. Our engineers will work with your people to extract the rare metals without damaging the local ecosystem. Claire smiled. That's wonderful news, Commander. The Alterian colonies will benefit greatly from the employment opportunities. It had taken weeks of careful negotiation to reach that agreement. In the old days, the Zephyrians would have simply taken what they wanted. Now they were learning to ask permission and share the benefits. Hive Speaker Gorth approached from the opposite direction, his biomechanical form moving more slowly than before. The Corthan leader had been badly injured during the battle and was still recovering, but the injury had changed more than his body. His entire way of thinking seemed different. Greetings, humans, Gorth said, his voice now a single tone instead of the harsh chorus it had been before. The Federation reports successful cooperation on the new terraforming project. Crops grow well with combined Corthan biotechnology and human agricultural methods. How are your people adapting to the new policies? Claire asked carefully. The Corthans had struggled more than the Zephyrians with the concept of individual choice over collective unity. Gorth's tentacles moved in what Claire had learned was the equivalent of a shrug. Change is difficult, but results speak truth. Worlds that choose cooperation prosper. Worlds that resist cooperation struggle. The Federation learns. Admiral Jake Morrison appeared on the main viewing screen, broadcasting from Earth's orbital command center. His face looked tired but satisfied as he addressed the mixed crowd gathered in Harmony's central plaza. Citizens of the galaxy, Jake began. Today marks 6 months since the end of the Great War. In that time, we have accomplished more together than either empire achieved in 3 centuries of conflict. The crowd listened quietly as Jake outlined the progress. Trade routes that had been closed for generations were now open. Scientific research was being shared between species for the first time. Exploration missions were discovering new worlds at a rate never seen before. But perhaps most importantly, Jake continued, we have proven that different species can work together without losing what makes them unique. The Zephyrians still value perfection and beauty. The Corthans still seek unity and growth. Humans still prize freedom and innovation. These differences make us stronger, not weaker. Dr. Rachel Stone, now serving as the first director of Galactic Science, stood at a podium in the station's research center. Around her, scientists from a dozen species worked on projects that would have been impossible before the peace. The breakthrough came when we stopped trying to prove who was right and started asking what we could learn from each other. Rachel explained to a group of young researchers. Zephyrian energy manipulation combined with Corthan bioengineering and human mechanical systems has created technologies none of us could have developed alone. One of the young scientists, a Zephyrian, named Kalavel, raised her hand. Dr. Stone, my professors taught that knowledge should be hoarded to maintain advantage over enemies. How do we know that sharing information will not make us vulnerable? Rachel smiled at the question. It was one she heard often from students who had grown up during the war years. Because we've learned that knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. The more we teach each other, the more we all benefit. Security comes from mutual prosperity, not from keeping secrets. Captain Alex Hughes, now Admiral Hughes in charge of the combined galactic fleet, reviewed reports from across the galaxy. The new fleet was unlike anything that had existed before. Ships from all three major powers worked together, their different technologies complementing each other perfectly. "Sir, we have a situation in the Outer Rim," reported Commander Lisa Parker, now serving as his chief of staff. "Pirates are attacking trade convoys near the Vegan system." Alex nodded. "What forces do we have in that area?" "The patrol consists of 2 Zephyrian light cruisers, 1 Corthan biofrigate, and 3 human destroyers," Lisa replied. "Mixed crew on all vessels." "Good. Signal them to intercede. And remind them that we capture pirates, we don't destroy them. Even criminals deserve a chance to change." This was perhaps the biggest change in galactic thinking. The old empires had solved problems through force and elimination. The new Federation preferred rehabilitation and reintegration. President Nancy Roberts stood in the Rose Garden outside the White House, speaking to representatives from 30 different worlds. Earth had become the unofficial capital of the new galactic government, not through conquest but through example. "We stand at a crossroads," the president said. "Behind us lies 3 centuries of war, destruction, and fear. Ahead lies unlimited possibility. We can explore new worlds, cure diseases that have plagued entire species, and reach for the stars together." The crowd included beings that would have been impossible to imagine living peacefully just months ago. Zephyrian crystal forms stood next to Corthan bioshapes, while dozens of smaller species mingled freely with humans and each other. Captain Ben Taylor, now in charge of the Earth Defense Academy, watched new recruits train together. The academy had been transformed from a military school into a center for learning galactic cooperation and defense. The key lesson, Ben told his mixed species class, is that strength comes from diversity. In the old fleet academies, everyone learned the same tactics, followed the same procedures. Our enemies could predict what we would do because we all thought the same way. A young Corthan student raised a biomechanical appendage. "Admiral Taylor, how do we maintain unity of command with so many different thinking patterns?" Ben smiled. "We don't maintain unity of command, we maintain unity of purpose. Our goal is to protect the innocent and preserve the peace. How we achieve that goal can vary from situation to situation." 5 years after the 5-hour war, the changes had become permanent. The Galactic Council met regularly on Harmony Station, with representatives from over 100 species. Conflicts were resolved through negotiation instead of warfare. Scientific advances happened at a pace that amazed everyone. Commander Greg Sullivan prepared his ship Unity for another exploration mission. His crew included humans, Zephyrians, Corthans, Alterians, and 6 other species. They were heading to a distant galaxy that long-range sensors had detected, searching for new life and new civilizations. Captain's log, stardate 2387.156. Greg, recorded. "We are about to begin humanity's first intergalactic voyage. Our mission is peaceful exploration and the establishment of friendly contact with any civilizations we encounter." He paused, looking out at the stars through the ship's main viewer. It's been 5 years since the galaxy learned that war was not inevitable, that different species could work together instead of fighting for dominance. We carry that lesson with us as we reach for even more distant stars. Ambassador Claire Thompson, now Secretary General of the Galactic Federation, stood before the largest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from 300 species had come to Harmony Station for the 5th anniversary peace celebration. 5 years ago, Admiral Jake Morrison told the galaxy that we could build something worth fighting for instead of fighting over what already existed, Claire said. Today we see the truth of those words. We have built a civilization based on cooperation, not conquest. A society that values all life, not just the strongest. The celebration lasted for 3 days, with music, art, and food from across the galaxy. But the real celebration was quieter, found in the daily lives of beings who no longer feared their neighbors, in children who grew up learning about different species as friends instead of enemies, in scientists working together to unlock the mysteries of the universe.